It's Friday. Hello and welcome to the program this morning. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun, sitting in for your regular host, that's Yori Folarin. This morning, we'll begin our conversation with the reports of 71 PDP House of Representative members who want Nigeria to dump the presidential system of government and adopt the parliamentary system. And later, we shall be chatting with the candidates of the Action Democratic Party, Mr. Babatunde Gbadamosi. That promises to be interesting. So we'll sit back and relax. Let me introduce my first guest today, Mr. Jide Johnson. Jide Johnson is the Deputy Provost of the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. Dr. Johnson, you're welcome.
Hiya. It's a pleasure to be with you, and good morning to our viewers at home, both in Nigeria and diaspora.
What are the members of the House of Representatives, 71 of them that appended to that particular bill, what are they up to? Less than 60 days to the next election.
It boils down to one of the issues that has dominated political discourse in the last 12 years or thereabouts, since the advent of the Fourth Republic. Because if you put it in proper word, they are talking about us restructuring our political system. But my take on it is that, well, there shouldn't be an agenda for this 8th National Assembly. It should be an agenda for the 9th National Assembly, because it's too late for us to think of less than 2 months to national elections. We'll be talking about changing the process and changing. I think this issue should be deferred to the 9th National Assembly. But it's important for us to have this conversation, and because it has been an ongoing conversation. Do we still want to keep this system of government, this presidential system of government? There's no system of government that does not have its strength and its weaknesses. It is the people actually that are implementing this system of government that have created problems. But if you sample the opinion of Nigerians, if you sample the opinions of the actors and players, you discover that a lot of people have expressed this reservation with the presidential system of government. Probably there is a need for us to go back to the parliamentary system of government, whereby the government is formed from the legislature and not voting for the legislature and voting for the governor and the president, the legislature and the executive branch differently. So this is a conversation which I think is good, but it's just about the timing. I think if we are setting this agenda for the new government that will come in, for the government that will come in May 2019, I think it will be very, very good for our country.
We are looking at a kind of a wholesale amendment of the 1999 Constitution here. If the 1999 Constitution specifies the presidential system of government, and most, if you remember, was it back in the First Republic when parliamentary system of government. Yeah. So it will require a major shake-up, a major tinkering of the 1999 Constitution to achieve
which
this.
Is not our constitution in the first place, which is not the constitution that was written by Nigeria. In actual sense, it has been alluded over time that even the president that was elected in 1999 did not get the clean copy, did not, as the candidates for 1999 presidential election did not see the constitution they had to operate with until they were sworn in. So basically, there's the need for us. Ayo, let's look at it. Even countries, the model of presidential system that we practice, Article 1 of the United States Constitution, the first branch of government, is the legislature, which is the direct representative of the people. The first branch of government is the legislature. Parliamentary system of government saves cost, no doubt about that, in the sense that you form the government. For you to become a minister, for you to become a prime minister, you must
That's what I'm going to drive at now. What's the difference between the presidential system of government and parliamentary system of government?
Now, for you to be an executive, you must first win your election as a legislature. You must have been voted for by the people. Are you getting my point? So
Like
you must
what we have in National Assembly now.
what you have in National Assembly. Now, in that case, even if you look out of America, our own presidential system is just an aberration. You know, in the order of American Constitution, there's no Senate president.
The vice president
sits as the Senate president. In terms of order of protocol, you know, the Speaker of the House of Rep seniors the Senate leader, which is the part that has the majority in terms of protocol. In terms of succession, there's no place for the Senate leader or what have you in American election.
So the legislature, they will choose a leader.
Exactly.
That becomes the prime minister.
That becomes the prime minister, just like we had in 1960, 1963. So they will choose from amongst themselves. The party that has the majority will not have the kind of aberration which we have presently with the composition of the National Assembly, where you have the minority being the head of both the Senate and the House of Rep. Now, in parliamentary system of government, the key arm of the National Assembly is the House of Rep and not the Senate, because that is based on population. So that's what solves that problem. So for us to move forward, because government, in parliamentary system of government survive based on their policies. Government survives based on their programs. Now, if just about 2 days ago, the British Prime Minister faced a vote of no confidence. If she had lost that vote of no confidence, she ceases to be the Prime Minister if you had had a parliamentary system of government, there's no way we'll be haggling or fighting for the president to assent to the electoral bill, because it has gone through the process of lawmaking, so they are part and parcel of the government. So those that are the problem of Nigeria. You
align yourself with the point that the presidential system of government is expensive.
Yeah, the way we operate it in Nigeria is expensive. Why should we have? We have a lot of duplications. Let's put it. We have a lot of duplications. We have 260 House of Representative members, 100 senators, and then you also have ministers. You have heads.
As a bicameral legislature.
Are you getting my heads of ministries, departments, and agencies of government? You know, all the ministers, all the cabinet of, even the French model. You know the French model of the presidential system. The only member of the executive that is elected directly by the people is the president, who appoints the prime minister from the National Assembly, and the cabinet member from the National Assembly. He appoints them from the National Assembly. So there is a need for us to look at, going forward, do we want to go ahead with the structure of government which we have? Now, when you talk about structure, when you put the word re as a prefix, it becomes restructure. Change the structure of government that you have. Because a lot of people are not comfortable with the word restructuring. What restructure is? Restructure. Change the structure. The structure you are operating, can you take it to where you want to go? Can it give you deliverables of democracy?
How effective is this model going to be?
Now, if you are talking about
a parliamentary system of government,
if you are talking about, it's going to be an holistic overhaul, because at the state level we won't have governors. That means that we are going back to regional government. So instead of having 36 governors, we might have now instead of having 36 governors, we might have 6 premiers. At the geopolitical zones becomes premiers. So we won't have 6 governors. We just have premiers, and probably places like Lagos, Port Harcourt, Enugu, Kano might have mayors to govern. Are you getting my point? That rank in the start. So it's an holistic. It's not a Tea Party thing. What they are suggesting is not a tea. It's not something which I don't think if you can achieve in 4 years, if you really want to achieve that. Because
the reason this 71 legislature, according to the honorable member that actually led this thing, they're saying that all over the world, countries like Britain, countries like France, you know, that they practice parliamentary, they've looked at their progression than they are better off than those practicing presidential system of government.
The problem with us is not Nigeria. You see that you have parliamentary system of government, that you have presidential system of government. It depends on, these systems are not human. It depends on the people operating it. For example, when Imran Khan became the prime minister of Pakistan, that cricket superstar became prime minister. He sold off. There's no government that is not laden with wastages. He sold off the limousines of the prime minister,
okay.
the anti-missile helicopters. There are about 6 to the office of the prime minister. So it depends on the people operating the system. It has nothing to do with the system. However, considering the peculiar nature of Nigeria, considering the dynamics of Nigerian society, I think it would be better for us to operate a parliamentary system, because in parliamentary system of government, it provides for an all-inclusive government. It's not a zero-sum system. A zero-sum system is that in the presidential election, I'll give you an example. In the last presidential elections, there were about 30 million voters, close to about 30 million voters. The president that won the election had just half of the election. But in parliamentary system of government, every party will have a form of representation or the other in the National Assembly. So it gives room for smaller parties. It gives room for the minorities to be represented. It is more democratic and it is more, it is more participatory. Let me use the word. It is more participatory because it gives room to minority parties to have their presence. If not for parliamentary system of government in the 60s, someone like Okotieba wouldn't be finance minister. Are you with me? So parliamentary system of government enables the participation and representation of minority group. It's not a zero-sum or a win-win situation for the major party, because in presidential system of government, whoever gets the highest number of votes takes the ultimate prize.
For some time now, the social cultural groups across the country, Afeni, Ferry, Ohanese, and Igbo, I don't know about Arewa, I'm not too sure of that, but these groups, they've been at the vanguard of calling for the restructuring of Nigeria. So their reaction, I read about Yinka Odumakin's reaction to this particular, that this is the way to go, that history will not forget those lawmakers. Is our problem fundamentally about restructuring?
You see, Ayo,
and how different is restructuring from this model?
If you look at state creation, if you look at local government creation that we have in Nigeria, they were not products of democratic process. They were not product of democracy. Now, Gowon created 12 states, and because of the outbreak of the Civil War, Murtala created 19 states. Babangida moved it to 21. Then he later moved it to 30. Abacha moved it to 36. Now, if you look at even the 774 local government, I give you an example. Why would a state like Lagos have 20 local governments compared to a state like Osun State having 30 local governments?
Let me quickly okay, we lost Yakub. We had a caller earlier.
So Osun State compared to Kanu having 44 local government, whereas Lagos has more House of Rep members than Osun State that has 30 local government, has the same House of Rep members like Kanu, for example. Are you with me? So in terms of population, Lagos should have more representation in terms of local government. Lagos should have more representation in the House of Rep based on that.
Yakub is back now. Thank you for joining us, Yakub.
Yeah, good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, Yakub.
And good morning to your guys.
Go ahead with your contribution.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
I think Dr. Gide Johnson has said it all. These people saying that we need to go to parliamentary system of government this time. I think, yes, the idea is good, as Dr. Gide Johnson said, but the time is not yet right. If they wanted something like this, I think they're supposed to say it during the first year that they came to that parliamentary. Let me give you a typical example here, Ayo. These people, when they started amending the constitution, during the constitutional amendment, do you know what they did when they get to devolution of power? None all of them voted for that devolution of power. A station whereby a local government can generate the revenue and then make sure that the money that generates from that local government work for the people that live in the local government. A station whereby a state can generate light and sell the light to the citizens of the various states. These people have voted against that devolution of power. Now they come up now, 2 months to the election, telling Nigeria that we need to go back to parliamentary system. What will happen is this: if they really mean the business, incoming senator and House of Representatives in 9 assemblies, they should make sure that they champion this during the first year of them in the office, maybe 2019. They should keep it moving it so that we know that they are serious. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you. Yakub called in from Dokpemu, Lagos. So we're doing a kind of comparative analysis between both systems.
Exactly. So I was using the illustration of Lagos State in terms of representation. Kano has 44 local government, but has 24 House of Rep members. So if you are to share federal resources based on local government, Kano, Osun State, and Oyo State, we have more than Lagos State that has more population than these states that you have made mention of. Then going back to the issue of parliamentary and presidential system of government. You know, in parliamentary system of government, power belongs to the region and not the center. Now, the bulk of the revenue that comes, it is the constituent units that will contribute to the center and not the center that will distribute to. In the present presidential system of government that we practice, some states have never conducted local government elections since after the elections that eroded the local government into office in 1999. And we shouldn't be having such aberration in our democratic experience.
I have Jerry on the line. Jerry is calling from Ikeja.
Hello.
George.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, George.
And good morning to your guest.
Good morning, George.
I've often said that there is nothing wrong with our structure, but with the operators of our system. Whether it is parliamentary or presidential, those who operate it are the problem. If we go presidential, for example, if we go parliamentary tomorrow, will corruption disappear from our system? Will development take a magic turn that more schools, more hospitals, more roads, everything will just come out back? Will all the aspirations we look for in our leaders just be realized? The answer is no. The operators of the system are the ones we have to watch. I dare say that these PDP people that are coming out, is another strategy to try to thwart.
Who are these PDP people?
The lawmakers. they are saying that it is now the structure. For 15 years they were there. They didn't see anything wrong with the structure then. Now they are probably foreseeing how the voting will turn out in 2019, and they're now coming out to say that the structure is bad. Well, let us go parliamentary.
I don't think. I think. Thank you, George. I don't think George is fair on those lawmakers.
George has just been. Well, that's his view, but I would like George to know, because from a non-partisan point of view, I think there have been various attempts by the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th, the exception of this 8th. There have been various attempts to change the structure. In fact, serious critical attempts.
Even the 8th. Don't forget that there's an election.
The 8th was a bit, but
led by Ekwemadu.
So there have been various attempts in the past. We have had 2 constituent assembly. Abacha created, Obasanjo had his own, Yar'Adua had his own, even Jonathan has his own. So the issue, we should remove partisan issue from the issue. He made one valid point, which is that it is the actors. And I've said it, there's no PDP or APC in Nigeria. They are the same. You just flip the coin. This electoral cycle, they are here. The next electoral cycle, they are there. So there are no difference. There's no significant difference.
I have Mazi Okorafor from Arochukwu in Abia State.
Good morning, Mr. Ayo. Good morning, Dr. Jide.
You are welcome, Mazi.
Compliments on the season. Honestly speaking, gentlemen, say, parliamentary to me is okay for Nigeria. All these 60-something political parties will have their say. The issue of this winner takes all will no longer be visible. Today, what do we see? Winner takes all at the detriment of other political parties. The timing is shaky. Note that those countries that have parliamentary system, they're educated. That is, the educational level of them is above 80%. But in Nigeria, what do we see? Our educational level is just, we say, 30-something or 40-something. This is the problem. Look at the 3 levels. 80-something and less than 40% in terms of educational awareness. Now you ask yourself, How many Nigerians know all these rudiments, the benefits, the disadvantages and disadvantages, the treatment, so that we talk about it? Because our educational background is a problem. Because if the authority concerned or the we don't educate Nigerians, at least by 2019, after that, maybe 2023, thank you very much. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Mazi. As we reach home stretch, we're looking at people have complained about 52%. You know, the federal government controlling 52% of the allocation, and the rest is shared by the state and local governments. And you look at those items on the exclusive lists of the federal government of Nigeria. If I want to get a driver's license now, it's the responsibility of federal road safety.
But the plate number you are carrying belongs to the local government.
That's what is reflected in this constitution, but it's not implemented.
Because the local government, GG is Agege, FKJ is Ifakonjai.
I'm telling you,
KJ is Ikeja.
We still have Federal Road Safety Commission.
So, but those are the anomalies that people have pointed out. The present structure, like Mazi said, parliamentary is more participatory and is more inclusive because it gives every party, everybody. I don't have to. You could even do it domesticates power and it gives power back to the people. You could play regional politics. For example, the Southwest people might say we are forming this party and we are voting en bloc. So we are sending, if the National Assembly, if the House of Rep is made up of 360 members and you have 90, our 90 members. If we go there before, you know the present government in Britain.
Let me quickly take our last caller for this segment. I have Adeumi is calling us from Kaduna. Thank you for joining us, Adeumi.
Thank you, AY.
Yes, go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, our problem is not the system. Our problem is the degree of greed of our politicians. Either presidential or parliamentary, as long as that greed is there, we have the same problem. Ghana is presidential, South Africa is presidential. You know, even when we were parliamentary, I live in the north, the parliamentary system in northern Nigeria did not allow any opposition party to have representation in Northern House of Chiefs or Northern House of Assembly. So it is not true that parliamentary system will allow smaller parties to be represented in the parliament. It is the system.
Thank you, Adeumi.
It is the people, not the system.
Thank you for your contribution, Adeumi.
NEPO had members in the First Republic. NEPO had members in the First Republic.
Northern
Elements, Progressive Union.
Union.
Now, the last election in Britain, Theresa May couldn't form the government until she formed an alliance with DUP.
Yes.
She needed just 10 members.
Yes.
And you know, the DUP members negotiated something for Northern Ireland. So the parliamentary system of government is all inclusive. But the bottom line, like we have said, is not the system, it is the people operating the system. And if you look at the Nigerian system, it is the same set of people that have been there since 1960 or their protege that are still running.
Once we've concluded that this is novel, this is good, as in the 8th assembly is going to be winding up in a matter of months.
Yeah.
So what do you advise?
I would advise them that it should be one of the legislative agenda for the 9th National Assembly. And the issue you rate with the list concerning the exclusive list, concerning the amount or the percentage of our revenue that goes to the federal government needs to be addressed. And the structure of local government administration, it's important and it's critical because that's the government at the grassroots. And that's why we have not seen deliverables of democracy. So regardless of the system, it is the people. But we advise our political class not to eat up the polity by bringing up issues they could table. They should understand the timing of the season. We want to talk about electoral issues now.
We'll leave it there. I want to thank you so much, Dr.
It's a pleasure to be with
Johnson,
you,
the Deputy Provost of NIJ.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll take the governorship candidate of the ADP. Please stay with us. Welcome back. This is This Morning on TVC, and we started our series of bringing those people that is seeking your mandates ahead of the March governorship election, especially talking about Lagos State. The candidate of the All Progressive Congress, that's Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, was actually here sometimes ago, and in furtherance to that, and in our resolution to make sure that all the major players are represented. So I have the candidate of the Action Democratic Party, that is Mr. Babatunde Badamasi. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, AY. How's it going?
Who is Tunde Badamasi?
Well,
what have you done before? Where are you coming from?
I am a Lagosian,
okay,
bred, buttered, born, with roots, very strong roots in Ikorodu.
Yeah.
And in the palace at Igadungoro in Lagos Island.
Really?
Via my grandmother,
okay,
who was a princess of the Eshinlokun ruling family by way of the Ogungbile branch. I am the grandson of Sulaiman Oyeshola Gbadamosi, the first indigenous industrialist in Nigeria, and the son of Fatai Gbadamosi, nephew of Rashid Gbadamosi, nephew of Wonuola Folami. So you can guess from that there is some pedigree there, and there is a family history. There is a code of honor within the family that one has to live up to.
Now, looking at what you've done in the past, you don't just, Lagos State is known as Center of Excellence. Some people even believe that if you're aspiring for that seat, you want to combine, that you're planning to combine like 2-3 West African states to become the governor. Politically, what have you done? Where are you coming from, even in the private sector?
Well, many years ago, when I actually started out in politics, in active politics, in 1995 to be exact, I was a member of the NADECO Forum in the United Kingdom.
You schooled in the UK?
I was a member of the NADECO Forum in the UK. No, I didn't school there.
Okay.
I lived and worked in the UK for quite a while, for about 17 years.
Oh.
And, you know, we joined NADECO because we saw what was happening in Nigeria. We saw that democracy had been truncated. We saw that the Abacha government was determined to grind Nigeria into fine dust. And we were determined that we were not going to allow Nigeria to become another Somalia. And that was why, indeed, you know, we took up the gauntlet back then of making sure that what was going on in Nigeria was known to the rest of the world. So politically, you could easily argue that that's where I cut my teeth initially. But going forward, you know, I went back into business, which is my default mode, so to speak, because, of course, I come from a business family. And, you know, it's natural for Gbadamosi to be a businessman. I mean, there's nothing else for us to do, really, except business. That's how we were brought up. But, of course, lurking in the corner of our consciousness is, you know, a very deep awareness of the polity of what's going on in the political world. And especially when it begins to affect the economy, it becomes a very serious source of concern for us. And that's the reason why I became more and more interested in the politics of Lagos State initially. As early as 2003, I was, you know, playing the fly on the wall, so to speak, watching developments in the polity in Lagos State as the Tinubu administration wound up to an end in 2007. I supported Musili Obanikoro for the governorship of Lagos State on the platform of the PDP. That didn't quite pan out for, you know, all sorts of reasons. And then I joined the PDP officially in 2008.
I wanted to ask you that you used to be a member of PDP.
And then by 2010, I decided to contest for the ticket of the PDP. That didn't quite work out as well. Again, I contested in 2015. I came much closer in 2015, but all sorts of things happened that I feel I shouldn't repeat here. But eventually, suffice it to say that I got disillusioned with politics as played in the PDP to the point where I decided that I was going to resign from politics in 2016, which I did. But, you know, concern for Lagos State can never be erased from my mind, because really at the end of the day, there's nowhere else for me to go. This is the only territory in the world that I can truly call my own. If push comes to shove, there's nowhere else for me to go.
What informed
I
your
can
platform?
only run either to Ikorodu or to Lagos Island.
What informed your ADP platform? Because
Well,
a lot
the
of people
ADP
will
came
feel
knocking.
That. Okay.
The ADP came knocking. They came to recruit me. They came looking for me and said, look, we need somebody of your standing to join this party, because these are our ideals, these are our policies, this is our manifesto, this is our constitution. I looked at it and I realized that a lot of the issues that I had with the PDP were addressed in their constitution. A lot of their manifesto pretty much covered the sort of ground that I feel that governance should cover, especially in a state of the magnitude of Lagos.
What is wrong with Lagos?
Lagos is not working. Lagos has ground to a halt since at least 2003, but we refuse to acknowledge it. I think partly because it's a megalopolis. Okay, I think the buzzword is megacity, based purely on population, no other reason.
Purely on population.
That's the definition of a megacity. It's to do with population. 10 million people or more, it's automatically.
Not in terms of infrastructure, not in terms of
if you were going to make the argument on the basis of infrastructure, we have precious little infrastructure actually. If you look at it on the basis of per square kilometer of our area, and in fact per million of the population, we have very little infrastructure. We're at infancy, so to speak. If we were to compare Lagos to other megacities around the world, we're nowhere to be found. And that's the reason perhaps why the United Nations decided in their wisdom that we're the third worst city in the world to live in.
Do you align with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Assessment?
I'm very well traveled.
The Lagos that you live.
I'm very well traveled, sir. And because I travel quite a lot, I go to England, I go to London, I've been to Manchester, I've been to Paris. Come on, I've been to Cotonou, Republic of Benin, just next door. I've been to Lomé in Togo, all right? Dubai, Guangzhou, okay? I've not been to Singapore yet, but I plan to visit real soon. I've been to various American cities. And as far as I can see, Lagos is nowhere to be found in terms of infrastructure. And if you don't believe me, just go to Google Earth and Google Singapore, all right? Make sure that you've got all the roads tagged, and then come back and Google Lagos and look at how many kilometers of road we have per square kilometer of land, and how many rail lines we have per square kilometer of land, how many train stations we have per square kilometer of land, and that should drive home the message quite succinctly. We are very seriously underserved as far as infrastructure is concerned. And fortunately for us, that can be rectified really quickly because of advancements in construction technology.
Do you want to catch up the deficit we've had over time? This did not start in 1999.
That may well be so, but at some point you must start. Dubai started the whole process of turning the desert into what you see today.
This is 2018. In Lagos, if you are the governor, in 2019.
There are organizations in Lagos State that purport to collect taxes for us at a huge rate of commission. We eliminate those. We have funds, okay? We have a road and a bridge built with taxpayers' funds, okay, that are being tolled, and those tolls are going where? These are funds that the state can use to put infrastructure in place. I mean, standard United Nations standards of cost for dual carriageway expressways in wetland areas such as Lagos would be about 250 million per kilometer. So do we have enough funds? Absolutely, yes. At 30 billion odd per month in IGR, and plus by the time you add...
Is that enough for lofty projects?
It's enough for the things that we need to do to get Lagos in position. In fact, our overheads are quite low. We've got a wage bill of about 71 billion, which is quite low. It's quite low. I'm of the opinion that in order to get the kind of productivity levels that we require to get Lagos to where it needs to be, we need to pay our staff better. Okay, we need to have more staff. Like for instance, the situation with traffic on the roads these days, okay, is occasioned by bad roads and bad staffing. We don't have enough last mile men on the roads. We need to get more of them.
So last mile is a lofty idea.
I wouldn't say lofty. It's something that
You
is
just mentioned
needed.
last mile.
I would say it's needed. I wouldn't call it lofty.
Okay.
Lofty suggests that it's something that is, beyond most people's imagination. It's not. We need traffic management of some kind. Whether it's last mile, whether it's the police, traffic management needs to be in place. Now we have last mile, we're going to work with that.
Okay.
We will work with whatever we have. We're not going to throw away the baby with the bathwater simply because we're not from the same political party.
So, from the one, if you happen to be the governor of Lagos State, what do you intend fixing that is not working right now?
Our compensation culture is really bad. Civil servants are very badly paid, and too much is expected of them for the amount of money.
Civil servants in Lagos? You're talking about Lagos of 20 million people
Yes.
and less than 100,000 civil servants.
Yes, they're very badly paid. They're very badly paid. Street sweepers are paid about 7,000 naira a month. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Level 16 officers go home with less than 1 million a month. Does not make any sense. Only opens the door for corruption. So we need to address that. The oil companies in Nigeria pay as much as they do because they want productivity. There's an end product they're looking for. And they get it. They get that end product because they pay. So if we want to play with the big boys in Lagos, if Lagos wants to play with the big boys on the international scene, if we're going to be angling for international capital to come to Lagos, we better be ready to get the best talents that we can in our public service to start with. Okay? And the only way to do that, seriously, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. If you pay peanuts, you will always get monkeys. Even the best of the best, the minute you start paying them under what they're supposed to be earning, they'll start acting funny. They will not be as productive as they could be. Okay? If you, in this job, were being paid maybe less than half your current salary, you would not be able to sit here with your hair nicely cut, your beard nicely groomed, nice suit on you. You would not be able to do that.
Apart from compensation, what else do you intend to do?
Now, the next thing after that is infrastructure. Infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. Our roads are not good. The few roads that we do have, in terms of quality, they are not good. At Onikpan, along the Ikorodu Road, there is a small pothole, about 2 meters square. That small pothole causes tailbacks all the way to mile 12 and beyond.
Some people will argue that that's a federal government road.
Maybe so, but the federal government is not here to use the road. We are the ones here.
That's the difficulty.
We are the ones here enjoying the revenue that road is producing. We are the ones enjoying revenue from the billboards, okay, along that road. We are the ones enjoying revenue from the commercial activity that road is making possible. So I really don't agree with this dichotomy of federal versus state road. I don't agree with it.
But that's the reality on ground.
Maybe for some people, but for me, the road is in Lagos. The road is not in Abuja.
Do you know sometimes
it's here in Lagos, and it's Lagosians that are using this road.
Do you know sometimes for you to even maintain the federal government facility, you need to take clearance from the federal government?
Actually, the federal government a long time ago agreed that the states could maintain federal roads in their domain and come and seek compensation after.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
So I think it's actually a matter of cost.
Okay.
That's been the problem between Lagos State and the federal. And for me, prudence is everything in public service. Public expenditure. If you're spending public taxes, if you're spending public funds, it's not your money. It's money that belongs to the people that worked. You're working, you're paying taxes. It's your money.
Let me take my first caller. Right. Ayo is calling us from Aja. Hello, namesake.
Hello, Ayo. It's my namesake. I have to say that I'm very impressed with the ADP
yes.
Candidates in the place. For the first time, I've been watching your program, and I've always wanted to comment. For the first time, I'm seeing someone that is actually addressing the problem, putting the problem right before him and addressing it. Obviously, you can tell that this is someone that is a student of Lee Kuan Yew. He has read from third world to first world, and he has seen that the processes are quite easy. We only need the political will. Unfortunately, okay, let's not say unfortunately, but these are the kind of people who want to be able to will, and push into power. I just want to say, if in the future, in the near future, February, he doesn't make it into the office, These are the kind of people who need to support government and push towards the right direction. Everything he has said is completely spot on. These are the problems that we're facing. But I just want to ask him, the problem with population in the country, in Lagos, how is he going to deal with overpopulation in Lagos? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ayo. Thank you. And Ayo has just commended you.
Question from Ayo. And it's a question that I've tried to address at various different fora over the years. Lagos is not overpopulated. I know many people disagree with this, but if you look at, and I'm glad he mentioned third world to first world, Lee Kuan Yew, okay, because I'm going to use Singapore as the example here. Singapore has a population of 5.3 million people and a land size of about 734.
5.3 million?
Yes, and a land size of about 734 square kilometers.
Probably
that gives them a
population
density. That gives them a population density of 7,500 people per square kilometer. Lagos has a population of about 24 million people. Okay, that gives us a population density with a land size of 3,544 square kilometers. Gives us a population density of about 4,900 people per square kilometer. That gives us significantly less population density than Singapore. So we're not overpopulated, we're simply underserved. Now imagine London without the underground trains, without the overground trains, without the Docklands Light Railway. It would be a mess. It would be an absolute mess.
Because I wanted to talk about transportation now.
What we need in Lagos is alternative means of transport. And we already have planned out, okay, means of transport that we can quickly deploy.
Quickly?
Quickly, very rapidly.
How quick?
Within 3 months.
Okay.
We can deploy water-based transport very quickly. High-speed, high-volume passenger and roll-on, roll-off ferries that would run between Badagry, Mile 2, Apapa, and CMS. Okay, these are platforms that are already available. Yes, we're going to have to buy them used because we can't be waiting around twiddling our thumbs, waiting for new platforms to be manufactured. Because if we went to a boat yard now and asked for, let's say we went to Australia where they're famous for making aluminum vessels, okay, we could be waiting another 18 months. So what we'll do is we'll go to the used market and buy existing vessels, not necessarily new, perhaps retrofitted, okay? The whole point is to be able to carry passengers, cars, buses, trucks on these vessels all at once. 2,000 passengers, about 150 cars, about 50 trucks or buses all at once. From Badagry to Mile 2 to Apapa, Apapa to CMS, from Ikorodu to Ikoyi, from Ikoyi to Victoria Island.
Okay, let me take George.
The Lekki axis and so on.
George is calling us again. Thank you for joining us, George. Make it snappy, George.
Thank you, Ayo.
Yeah.
Ayo, I've often listened to Mr. Badamosi over the years, and there's no doubt that he has something to offer. But what I do not understand is why he shies away from the ruling party when he wants to contest elections. I imagine if he were to be in a feasible party, quote unquote, a feasible party with which he can win an election as a lawmaker to Lagos State House of Assembly. And we have a man like this shaping the laws for this state as speaker. You mustn't be governor from day one. Leadership is in round 1, round 2, round 3, until you get to your desired position.
Thank you, George. Thank you for your contribution.
That's a nice contribution from George, but perhaps he could ask Mr. Trump why he didn't go to Congress first. Mr. Donald Trump, he came out, went straight for the presidency, and he got it. It's all about imagination. Listen, it's all about imagination. Nigerians are humans.
I'm also worried.
Nigerians are human beings.
I'm also
We're
worried
not from Mars.
about your platform. Yes. Now, when you talk about the Jimmy Agbajis of this world,
yes,
they have their party structure entrenched in all the nook and crannies of Lagos local government.
As have we.
Babajide Sanwo-Olu, same thing. They have their structure. I'm looking at the platform.
Yes.
Brilliant man, intelligent. You have all the ideas that you want to implement as the governor of Lagos State from day one. But people will say you are running on a weak platform.
Perhaps that is so. Perhaps that is so. But do structures translate, do good structures translate to good governance?
No, not necessarily.
The answer is no. Purely. It's not about not necessarily. There is no ambiguity
All these
about
ideas
that.
will
Good
be
structures in Nigeria, solid political structures do not necessarily translate to good governance. And at the end of the day, what the people of Lagos are looking for is good governance.
What George is saying is that it needs a platform for you. So that you can...
I hear George loud and clear. But Lagosians also know what is good for them. Lagosians want better than what they have now. And Lagosians do deserve better than what they have now. Okay? Look, arguments have been made about, oh, we have to develop slowly. We don't have to develop slowly. Dubai started this investment program of turning that desert into what you see today just in 1993, at the time when we were struggling with democracy. They started the program of investment, and today, look at them. The amount of money that has been spent in Dubai since 1993 till date is less than the amount of money that has been spent in Lagos since 1999 till date.
Let me take Adeoye. Adeoye is calling us from Akute. Akute is
good morning,
Ogun State. Good morning.
Yeah, well done. I just want to ask our guest a question concerning education. What is he going to do concerning the high cost of education in Lagos State?
Thank you, Adeoye.
Very good question, Adeoye. The situation in the world today is that international capital is always looking for knowledgeable markets, knowledgeable places where they can go and produce their products for export to the world. So car manufacturers are always going to the United Kingdom rather than come to Africa, all right? When they want to, like Nissan, Toyota, they all have plants in the UK. Honda has a plant in the UK, okay? General Motors, Vauxhall have a plant in the UK. Ford from the US has a plant in the UK. Why? Because it's a very it's a market where people are literate, all right? They are learned enough to be able to learn quickly how to operate the complicated equipment that these people are going to be bringing to their factories. Very expensive, very highly complicated equipment. Now, you bring something like that to a country like, to a state like Lagos, where we have a very serious illiteracy problem, okay? It's been growing over the years, and it's worse now than it's ever been. And you go and employ a bunch of people, you put them in charge of machines because they don't have, you know, they're not well grounded enough in terms of their education, okay? Simple mistakes that they shouldn't make, like you call somewhere a clean room, for instance, for the production of microchips, all right? And there are instructions as to how to enter the room because there are sealed doors and doors and doors. The guy doesn't remember because, you know, he just doesn't have the mental acuity to. And he opens the door, a speck of dust flies in, jumps on a microchip somewhere, and the whole production for that day is finished, is destroyed.
I have Reverend
so
Dominic.
Education is very important to that extent, and that is why we're going to be making it free.
Okay, let's quickly take Reverend Dominic from Alimosho. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning, Reverend Dominic.
Good morning to you again.
Good morning, Reverend. How are you, sir?
Your guest is quite intelligent. I have two questions for him.
Yes.
What are we going to do in Lagos, where you build a road today, and move that through that road today, tomorrow, as you come back next tomorrow on the same road, it has broken down. That's number one. What are we going to do with our primary education? There's a school around me here I will not mention. If they dismiss, it's like where the population coming out from that school will tell you that there's no education going to that school because the population is so much. And I don't know how they manage to teach these young ones. What are we going to do in primary education? What are we going to do in today? Tomorrow it breaks down.
Thank you for that one, Reverend Dominic.
Very quickly, the issue of primary education is one that is reserved exclusively in the Constitution for the local governments. Okay? Now, we're going to embark on an investment program where we're going to build far more schools than we have now because we need to take the schools to the localities. We need to build more schools. We're going to limit school sizes to 720 pupils per school. 20 children per class, 6 arms per year. So secondary school or primary school,
they're going
to have 720 children per school, no more than that. That means we're going to have to be building a large number of schools all across the state, similar to what Alhaji Lateef Jakonde had to do between 1979 and 1983. We're going to do exactly that, this time on a larger scale, okay? And we're going to make education free, from primary through secondary, through tertiary institutions, Lagos State Polytechnic and LASU, at least to first degree level. Now, the reason we need to do this is because an educated populace is a more prosperous populace, all right? Singapore is doing the same thing. There's a reason behind it. The more knowledge you have, the wealthier you become, the more creative your population becomes. And besides, we have the advantage of having a population that is dominated by a younger demographic. 70% of our population is under the age of 35. That's a very unique blessing that Lagos State has that we must harness really quickly. And one of the best ways of doing that is by educating that population as best as we can. We need to give them the best educational provision that we can as quickly as possible and as accessibly as possible. The only way we can make it accessible is to make it free. Make it free, make it high quality, okay? Fortunately, we're in the age of the internet. So a lot of educational provision we're going to be providing over the net. We're going to be providing inputs, educational equipment, tools that our children will use. Okay.
I have a call from Victoria. Victoria is calling from Victoria Land. Super is calling from Victoria Land. I beg your pardon.
Good morning, to my governorship aspirant.
Good morning, Super. How are you?
2 questions from my aspirant.
Okay.
What are you going to do in respect of traffic in Lagos State? Because we live in mad traffic in Lagos State.
Yes,
that's number one. Then number 2, what are you also going to do in respect of the Alpha Beta that control 10% of the entire Lagos revenue that is being shared on the private pocket? Thank you very much, Anabi.
Okay. Very quickly on the issue of roads asked by the first caller from, I think it was Ali Mosho.
Yes.
Okay.
Reverend Dominic.
Reverend Dominic. And that ties in with this next question by Super relating to traffic. Okay. Now, the quality of road construction, well, I'm going to say, because I'm a construction expert myself, well, I'm a real estate developer and therefore a built environment expert, urban development expert, if I say so myself. The quality of our road construction, such as I've seen, for instance, along the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway, is not nearly as robust as it ought to be. One of the best roads I've seen constructed, watching the construction job being done in Lagos State, was Adeola Odeku Street, as constructed by Julius Berger. I saw the way they laid the rocks for the foundation. I saw the way they infilled with smaller rocks. They compacted. They put sand on that. They compacted that. So that's why you'll see that Adeola Odeku Street is hardly going to have the sort of issues that you see on Akande-Shola or the sort of issues that you see on Lekki-Ekpe Expressway, which the foundation is just purely sand. So we're going to elevate the construction standards for roads in Lagos State as quickly as we can. And even at that, we will still be able to deliver the roads at a cheaper cost than it's been done.
Traffic.
And that is what will help us with traffic. We're going to have a squad. There's already a Lagos State Public Works Department. And that unit, we're going to empower them. We're going to equip them better. Okay, and we're going to spread them across the state. Instead of working from one location, they'll be working from several locations across the state. My immediate mind is to, spread them per local government, so that they'll have a local government office, and their job will be to go out, scout for potholes, and fix them.
They will have asphalt plants.
They'll have asphalt plants. We'll have several asphalt plants all across the state. We already have a bitumen plant at Okorison, which is run by a company called ASCA. Okay, I know of them because I've had reason to partner with them in the past. We have granite from Ogun State, from
the time is
Ijebu-Ode, from Abeokuta, even from Ibadan.
You know what, Mr. Badamusi? Before the governorship election, we're going to bring you here again because the time is so short for us to talk about your lofty ideas for Lagos State. I want to wish you the best of luck ahead of the March 16th? March 8th governorship election. That's the candidate of the Action Democratic Party. Note it, Action Democratic Party. We're blessed. Lagos is so blessed with a lot of talents, and yes, that's Mr. Babatunde Gbadamosi has been our guest today on the show.
Thank you so much, Ayo. It's been a pleasure. Your show.
Thank you. Thank you, and wish you the best of luck ahead of March election. That's our offering today on This Morning. Definitely the last for this week. Thank God it's Friday. By Monday, by God's grace, We'll be back, and have a nice weekend. Bye for now.